Now let us discuss section 16. Section 16 is dealing with the provisions relating to eligibility and conditions for taking the input tax credit. Now it's a very important section, section 16, which is providing how you will be eligible and what are the conditions for taking the input tax credit. So fundamentally, registered person is entitled to take the input tax credit. So here the registered person is entitled to take the input tax credit, and the ITC will be taken in respect of the tax which has been paid on inputs, capital goods and input services. I will take the ITC in respect of the tax which has been paid on inputs, capital goods and input services. The same are used or intended to be used in course or furtherance of business. They are used or intended to be used in course or furtherance of business, and whatever amount of input tax credit which has been taken, the same will be credited in the electronic credit ledger. So where it will be credited? In your electronic credit ledger. So every registered person, he will be eligible to take the credit subject to the conditions and restrictions as may be prescribed by the rules. We will be discussing those rules, and in the manner specified in section 49. Section 49 is dealing with payment of tax and stating how you will be using the credit. Okay. So in the manner specified in section 49, he will be entitled to take the credit, input tax credit, charged on what? In credit of input tax which has been charged on any supply of goods or services or both to him. Whatever inputs or whatever capital goods or whatever input services he has received, which are used, either they are used or they are intended to be used in course or furtherance of the business, and whatever amount of input tax credit it is, the said amount will be credited where? In the electronic credit ledger of such person. Then what we have seen in fundamentally under section 16 subsection 1, that registration under GST. So only registered person is entitled to take the credit. Thus registration under GST is mandatory for claiming input tax credit. In case a person is not registered, then he won't be entitled to take the credit. Then every registered person will be entitled to take the credit of the inward supply of goods or services which have been made to him, the tax which has been charged, and this is subject to the provisions of section 49 as we have discussed, that is the condition and the conditions and restrictions which have been provided in the rules. Then next one is what? The goods or services. The goods or services must be used for business purposes, or they are intended to be used in course or furtherance of business. So in case if any goods or services are used for personal purpose or say non-business purpose, input tax credit will not be admissible. In that case, we won't be entitled to take the input tax credit, and the amount of input tax credit will be what? Credited where? In the electronic credit ledger. The amount of input tax credit, the same will be credited where? In the electronic credit ledger. Now we are saying that here section 16(2) is providing for the conditions which is required to be satisfied for taking the input tax credit. So first and the foremost condition is that the person must be in possession of the tax paying document. That is, the registered person must be in possession of tax paying document. The concerned person, he must be in possession of what? The tax paying document. So here they say that notwithstanding anything contained in this section, no registered person shall be entitled to take the credit of the input tax in respect of supply of goods or services or both, until and unless he is in possession of a tax invoice or a debit note which has been issued by a supplier registered under the Act or any other tax paying document as prescribed. So he must be in possession of, say, tax invoice, or say debit note, or he may be in possession of the revised tax invoice. In case the goods are imported, he must be in possession of the bill of entry. Or under reverse charge mechanism, he is required to pay the tax if he has received the goods from unregistered person and he is required to pay the tax under reverse charge mechanism, then the tax invoice which is prepared by him himself. So fundamentally, he must be in possession of the tax paying document. It can be a tax invoice or it can be a debit note which has been issued by a supplier registered under the Act or under any other tax paying documents. Now, as per the provisions of Rule 36(1), we have seen as prescribed. So, as per the provisions of Rule 36(1), the input tax credit shall be availed by a registered person, including the input service distributor, on the basis of the following documents, namely. What are the documents? Namely, is giving the exhaustive list. That is what? Number one is an invoice which is issued by the supplier of goods or services or both in accordance with the provisions of section 31. So that basically it is the tax invoice. So if you are purchasing any goods without tax invoice, you won't be entitled to take the credit even if you have paid the GST. Then the invoice which is issued by the recipient, where we are purchasing the goods from unregistered person. Reverse charge mechanism is applicable. Then the registered person will have to issue what? Invoice. So here, invoice issued by recipient. That is, the recipient will be required to issue an invoice for himself itself. Receiving goods or services from unregistered supplier along with proof of payment of tax. Along with what? The proof of payment of tax. Then I already told you about the debit notes. We will be discussing the concept of debit note. So debit note issued by supplier in accordance with the provisions of section 34. This is debit note issued by supplier in accordance with the provisions of section 34. Then it is a bill of entry or any similar document prescribed under the Customs Act 1962 or the rules made thereunder for assessment of integrated tax on imports. So if you are importing any goods, you will be required to pay integrated tax on imports. So to take the credit of the integrated tax or GST cess which has been paid on so imports, you will be requiring a basic document. What is the basic document for assessment of custom duty? The basic document for assessment of custom duty is bill of entry. So on the basis of that bill of entry, you will be entitled to take the credit. So bill of entry or similar document which has been issued under the Customs Act 1962 or the rules made thereunder for assessment of integrated tax on imports. Then we are having the revised invoice, or we are having, say, it is basically a supplementary invoice. And then the input service distributor's invoice. Who is the ISD? We already seen. It is our own office which is receiving the input services. Actually, it's making the contract, it is receiving the invoices in respect of the input services which have been provided to our various manufacturing units or various service providing units. Then the ISD act as they will be distributing the credit in accordance with the rules which have been provided, right with section 20. So here on the basis of ISD invoice, you will be entitled to take the credit of the same. So ISD invoice or ISD credit note or any other document which has been issued by the input service distributor. Now here, section 16, read with these rules. They do not specify any particular copy of the invoice, but basically on the basis of the original copy of tax invoice, credit can be taken. Then as you are aware of the fact that the document must contain prescribed particulars. The document must contain prescribed particulars and relevant information to be furnished by what? The registered person. So the input tax credit shall be availed by a registered person only if all the applicable particulars are contained basically in the said documents. So the tax invoice, must be made as per the provisions of Rule 46. So it must cover all the particulars which are required to be contained in the said documents, and the relevant information as contained in the said document is furnished in form GSTR2 by such person. Basically, GSTR2 is not operational. Now it is GSTR3B. Reporting is done in GSTR3B only. Now say if our tax invoice does not contain all the particulars. This is important. Remember, if your tax invoice does not contain all the particulars, but it contains the particulars of the amount of the tax, it must contain the particulars of the amount of tax, the description of the goods or services, the description of the goods or services, the total value of supply of goods or services or both. It is a total value of supply of goods or services or both. GSTIN of the supplier and recipient, and place of supply in case of interstate supply. Then the input tax credit may be availed by such registered person. So, however, if the said documents does not contain all the specified particulars but contains the details of the amount of tax charged, the description of goods and or services, the total value of supply of goods or services, GSTIN of the supplier and the recipient, and place of supply in case of interstate supply, you will be entitled to take the credit. So remember, the invoice must contain the tax details, the description of goods or services, the total value, GSTIN of the supplier as well as the recipient, the place of supply in case of interstate supply, then you will be entitled to take the credit of the same. Then if any, say, show cause notice has been issued on the supplier. Show cause notice issued on supplier involving extended period of limitation. Involving what? Extended period of limitation under section 74. When extended period of limitation is invoked? In case of fraud, in case of willful misstatement, or in case of, say, suppression of facts. So if extended period of limitation is invoked in case of, say, fraud or, say, willful misstatement or suppression of facts, in that particular circumstance, what is happening? The supplier is raising any invoice, he is revising the invoice. On the basis of that, you will not be entitled to take the credit. So here, no input tax credit shall be availed by a registered person in respect of any tax that has been paid in pursuance of any order where demand has been confirmed on account of any fraud, willful misstatement or suppression of the facts. So no ITC shall be availed by a registered person in respect of any tax that has been paid in pursuance of any order where demand has been confirmed on account of fraud, willful misstatement or, say, suppression of the facts. Remember this. Now, this is very, very important. This is what basically the restriction on availment of ITC in respect of the invoices or the debit notes which have not been uploaded by the suppliers in their GSTR1 or by using the invoice furnishing facility. Now, fundamentally, remember this. Now, what is happening is, say, the supplier is there and he is required to furnish his GSTR1. He is required to furnish GSTR1. That is a statement of outward supplies. That is a statement of the outward supplies. Now say we have made purchases from this particular supplier. This particular supplier we have made purchases. Say we have purchased goods. He has issued 100 invoices. He has issued 100 invoices where the GST amount involved is 10 lakhs. Where GST amount involved is 10 lakh rupees. Now out of invoices, the supplier has uploaded the details only of 80 invoices involving GST of, say, 9 lakh rupees. He has not uploaded the details relating to 20 invoices in his GSTR1. Okay. Relating and ITC involved there is 1 lakhs. Now what will happen, what they are saying is, now this 80 invoices, when the same has been uploaded, so this same will be reflected in our GSTR 2A, in our GSTR 2A, as well as say 2B, it's a static statement, 2A is a dynamic statement here. Now in 2A, it is reflecting say 9 lakh rupees. So we will be entitled to take the credit of the input tax credit of the invoices which have been uploaded by the supplier 9 lakh, plus we can take what, 5% of 9 lakh rupees, that is 9 lakh plus 45,000. Okay. Now in case if the supplier has uploaded the details of say 90 invoices, and the input tax credit there is, 9,60,000 rupees. So we can take what, 960 plus 5% of 960 plus 5% of 960, that is 48,000. In aggregate, it works out to be how much? That is 10,08,000. But ITC is how much? 10 lakhs. So we will be taking the credit of what? 10 lakh rupees. It cannot exceed the amount of the GST which has been paid on the purchases made by us. So this is a restriction which has been placed. Earlier, prior to 1/1/21, it was 10%. Now it has been reduced to what? 5%. Your credit limit has been now reduced. So whatever invoices have been uploaded by them, 5% of the same you can what, take along with the details which have been say uploaded. So the input tax credit to be availed by a registered person in respect of the invoices or the debit notes, the details have not been furnished by the supplier under section 37(1) in form GSTR 1, or using the invoice furnishing facility shall not exceed what, 5% of the eligible ITC available in respect of the invoices or debit notes, the details of which have been furnished by the supplier in 37(1) in form GSTR 1 or by using the invoice furnishing facilities. Those registered persons who have opted for quarterly return and monthly payment facility, they can what, for the first 2 months they have a facility of say invoice furnishing facility is there. They can upload the details of the invoices, and on the basis of the invoice furnishing facility, you will be entitled to take what, the credit. Thus, ITC on all invoices or debit notes which have been uploaded by supplier in their GSTR 1, the same can be availed in full. The recipient gets the details of the tax invoices and debit notes uploaded by the supplier in their GSTR 1 in his respective GSTR 2A and respective GSTR 2B. So GSTR 1, basically it's a monthly statement or a quarterly statement containing the details of the outward supplies made by a registered person. So details of the outward supplies furnished by the supplier, they are communicated and made available electronically in their respective GSTR 2A. GSTR 2B is the auto-drafted ITC statement which is generated for every registered person based on what, GSTR 1 which has been filed by the supplier. The 2A and 2B, the fundamental difference is what? 2A is a dynamic document. So if there is any rectification entry relating to the February month and which has been made in August, the same will be reflected in February GSTR 2A, but in GSTR 2B it will be reflected in August. So you have to go for GSTR 2A rather than GSTR 2B. So here, if the invoice or the debit notes have been uploaded by the supplier in GSTR 1, then you will be entitled to take the full ITC. Now say if ISD invoice is there or imports are there, if these details are not required to be uploaded, their details are not required to be uploaded, in that case, you will be entitled to avail the credit on the basis of the documents which are in your possession. And in case of the invoices or the debit notes which have not been uploaded by the supplier in GSTR 1 or by using say IFF, we will be entitled to take the 5% of the eligible ITC available in respect of the uploaded invoices or debit notes. How the ITC so claimed? should not exceed what the actual eligible ITC available, as we have discussed in the earlier example also. It cannot exceed what the actual available ITC. Okay. So this circular has been issued in this regard, and they have given what are the issues which they have discussed as what are the invoices or the debit notes on which the restrictions under section 34 of the CGST rules apply. These are the invoices or debit notes whose details are required to be uploaded in GSTR1. That is a statement of the outward supplies by the supplier. So here, if you are availing any credit of the input tax which has been paid under reverse charge mechanism, IGST paid on imports, ISD credit, these are what outside the purview of this GSTR1. So their credit will be admissible on the basis of the, the documents which are in your possession. Therefore, the taxpayer, they have said that the taxpayer may avail full ITC in respect of IGST paid on imports, documents issued under RCM, documents which have been issued under RCM, credit received from ISD, which are outside the ambit of section 37(1), provided that the eligibility and other conditions have been availed. Then whether the said restriction is to be calculated supplier wise or on consolidated basis. So the said calculation is to be calculated on consolidated basis, whatever is reflected, and not supplier wise. Okay. So this restrictions that will be calculated on consolidated basis, whatever is a GSTR 2A balance, that is not supplier wise, but it is on consolidated basis. Okay. Then form GSTR 2A being a dynamic document, what would be the amount of ITC that is admissible to a taxpayer for a particular tax period in respect of the invoices or debit notes whose details have not been uploaded by the supplier. So we have to see the balance in GSTR 2A at the time of furnishing, it is on the due date, basically, due date of furnishing GSTR 1 by the concerned supplier. So if the due date of furnishing GSTR 1 is, say, on 11th of next month, so we will be taking the balance of GSTR 1 is to be furnished by, say, 11th of the next month. So GSTR 2A balance will be seen on 11th. Okay. So the amount of ITC in respect of the invoices or debit notes whose details have not been uploaded by supplier, it shall not exceed what 5% of the eligible ITC available to the recipient in respect of the invoices or details of which have been uploaded by the supplier under section 37(1) on the date of what? It is as on the due date of what? Filing of the GSTR 1 of the suppliers for the said tax period. So you have to take the details. Which details you have to take? At the due date of filing the GSTR 1. Okay. So the taxpayer may have to ascertain the same from his auto-populated form GSTR 2A as available on the due date of filing GSTR 1 of the concerned supplier. So you have to take the balance, say, as on 11th. Okay. Then how much a registered person can avail in his form GSTR 3B in a month? In case details of the sum of the invoices have not been uploaded, we have seen that whatever details have been uploaded, 5% of the same, but it cannot exceed what? The amount of the ITC. Example, they have stated that say 100 invoices were there, okay, in 100 invoices are there, ITC involved is 10 lakh rupees as I already discussed. In first case, they have uploaded 8 invoices have been uploaded carrying what? 6 lakhs as ITC. So we'll take 6 lakh plus 5% of rupees 6 lakhs. 6 lakh 30,000. 6 lakhs is the balance which has been reflected in GSTR 2A. So we'll be taking the credit of 6 lakhs as well as plus 5% of 6 lakh 30,000. The other one is 8 lakhs, 7 lakhs, 80 invoices containing ITC of 7 lakhs. So we can take 7 lakhs. 5% of 7 lakh is 35,000. Okay. We'll take 7 lakh and 35,000. Then in the next question, they are stating that 75 invoices are there and the ITC is 980. So 980 and 5% of 980. That is 49,000. But the amount cannot exceed what? The input tax rate involved, that is 10 lakh rupees. So this is very simple. Whatever the GSTR 2A balance plus 5%, but the amount cannot exceed what? The, the amount of the input tax credit which is involved in the supplies which we are considering. Then when can the balance be claimed in case of availment of ITC is restricted? So when the balance will be claimed? Now what fundamentally you remember? If say 10 lakh rupees ITC you want to claim divided by 1.05. So if they upload the details, say 10 lakh rupees the ITC divided by 1.05. So there, if the invoices they have been uploaded carrying the ITC amount of 952,380. Okay. Are you getting? If you get this 952,380 invoices details uploaded, you will be entitled to take the entire credit of the 10 lakh rupees because 952,380 into 5% plus will give you what? 9,99,999.99, that is 10 lakh rupees. Okay, or 381 we can say it is 381. Okay. Now, in the first case, if the supplier has uploaded the details only of 6 lakh ITC, then when he uploads the detail of the remaining 3,52,381, we'll be entitled to take the credit. Okay. If he has uploaded the detail of 7 lakhs, then when he upload the detail of the remaining amount of 252,381, we'll be what? Entitled to take the credit. So this way we will be entitled to take the balance credit. Okay. So for example, here in case 1, R may avail what? The balance 3.7 lakh credit when these details of what? 352, 3,52,023, 3,52,300 is available basically when these details have been uploaded. So you have to just divide what? The amount of ITC divided by 1.05. Earlier it was 10%, it would be divided by 1.10. So this is a very simple way to calculate that whenever these remaining invoices will be uploaded containing the ITC element of 352, 381, you will be entitled to take the remaining credit. Okay. So firstly, what we have seen in the conditions in this regard, first one is what? We must be in the possession of the tax paying document. This is the condition. Then we have seen about the tax paying document and this restriction. The second condition which is important is that you must receive, you are in possession of tax paying document but you have not received the goods or services. So until and unless you receive the goods and services in your registered premises, you will not be entitled to take the credit. So the second most important condition is what? You must, what is the registered person must have received the goods or services. So here registered person must have received the goods or services. Now one aspect we have discussed in place of supply, that is under section 10(1)(b) of the IGST Act, that is bill to ship model. Say ABC Limited is there. ABC Limited is the supplier. XYZ Limited is here the you know, principal. ABC Limited has invoiced to XYZ Limited. Invoice to XYZ Limited. But the goods have been shipped to, say, PQR Limited. Bill to ship. On the instruction of XYZ Limited, because, say, PQR Limited is a job worker. Now, whether XYZ Limited has received those inputs, XYZ Limited has not received the inputs. Inputs have been directly sent to whom? The PQR Limited. Then also, the XYZ Limited will be entitled to take the credit when the inputs have been received by PQR Limited. Similarly, it is a case of what? Services. This has been given in the explanation. So, it will be deemed that the registered person, it will be deemed that a registered person has received the goods or services where the goods are, say, delivered by the supplier, where the goods are delivered by the supplier to a recipient. It's a physical recipient or any other person on direction of such registered person. In our case, the registered person is, say, XYZ Limited. Who is the supplier? ABC Limited. Who is the recipient? PQR Limited. So, where the goods are delivered by the supplier to a recipient or any other person on direction of such registered persons, whether acting as an agent or otherwise, before or during the movement of the goods, either by way of transfer of document of title to the goods or otherwise, either by way of transfer of document of title to the goods or otherwise, or say, where services are provided by supplier, where services are provided by supplier to any person on direction on or on account of such registered person, where services are provided by supplier to any person on direction or say on account of such registered person. So, this is basically covering what? Bill to ship model. Okay. So, fundamentally, second condition is what? You must be receiving the goods or services, and we will be seeing that in case the goods have been received in lots, or installments, if the goods are received in lots or installments, if the goods are received in what? Lots or installments, then credit will be taken when last lot or say installment is received. Credit will be taken when the last lot or say installment is received if the goods are received in lots or installment. So, the second and foremost important condition is that he must be in receipt of goods or services. Then fundamentally, whatever tax charged is actually paid to the government. The tax charged is actually paid to the government. So, subject to the provisions of section 41 and 43A, the tax charge in respect of supply has been actually paid to the government, either in cash or say utilization of the ITC. However, we have seen that we can take the credit on provisional basis, that is whatever is reflected in GSTR 2A, 5% of the same we can take the credit. And then furnishing of valid return is mandatory. You will be entitled to take the credit when you are furnishing your GSTR 3B return. So, furnishing of the valid return is say mandatory. Then in case the goods have been received in lots or installments, if the goods have been received in lots or installment, as I already told you, then you will be entitled to take the credit only when such last lot or say only when such last installment is so received. So, you will be entitled to take the credit only when the last lot, last installment is received. Then in case further it has been provided that in case say a capital goods have been purchased, say if capital goods have been purchased, okay, capital goods have been purchased for 10 lakh rupees, GST paid thereon is 180. If under income tax, total purchase price is 11,80,000 rupees. Now, if under income tax you claim depreciation on rupees 11,80,000 rupees. If under income tax depreciation is claimed on 11,80,000 rupees, in that particular circumstance, ITC of rupees 1,80,000 cannot be availed. In that particular circumstance, you will not be entitled to take the credit of what? rupees 1,80,000. But in case, say, depreciation is claimed on rupees 10 lakhs, that is purchase cost, excluding ITC, that is purchase cost, excluding ITC. In that particular circumstance, we can claim ITC of rupees 1,80,000. Then the burden of proof regarding the admissibility of the credit shall lie on the person who is claiming such credit. The burden of proof regarding the admissibility of the credit shall lie on the person claiming such credit. Now let us discuss one illustration for the same. From the following information, determine the amount of input tax credit admissible to ABC Limited. From the following information, you are required to determine the amount of input tax credit admissible to ABC Limited in respect of the various inputs purchased during the month of September. So first one is what? Goods purchased without invoice. So in case if the goods are purchased without invoice, will you be entitled to take the input tax credit? You won't be entitled to take the input tax credit because the fundamental condition is that you must be in possession of the tax paying document. So goods purchased without invoice credit will not be admissible. Then second one is goods purchased from PQR Limited. Goods have been purchased from PQR Limited. Full payment has been made by ABC Limited to PQR Limited against such supply, but tax has not been deposited by PQR Limited. So fundamentally, this will not be reflected. Basically, he will not be showing the same in his GSTR 1 as well as he must not be showing in his what? GSTR 3B because he has not paid the tax. So here, we are just considering the fact what is state vary provisions. So goods purchased from PQR Limited where the tax has not been deposited by the supplier, we will not be entitled to take the credit because as per the provisions of section 16 we have seen the tax must be deposited by the supplier. Next is what? Purchase of goods not to be used for intended purpose. Purchase of goods for non-business purpose. For non-business purpose. In that case also, credit will not be admissible. If you are purchasing the goods for what? Non-business purpose, credit will not be admissible. Fourth, purchase of goods from TT Limited. Invoice is received in the month of September. We are calculating for September. We have received the invoice, but goods are received in the month of October. So purchase of goods where goods have not been received in the month of September. In the month of September, you won't be entitled to take the credit of the same. Then the fifth one is goods purchased against valid invoice. Tax has been deposited by FF Limited. ABC has made the payment to FF Limited. Okay. So here, goods purchased against tax invoice. 36,000 rupees credit will be admissible even if we have not made the payment. We will be seeing that we make payment to the supplier within 180 days. It's such an important criteria. We have made the payment in October, but we will be entitled to take the credit on the basis of the tax invoice because we have received the goods. So here the eligible ITC will be how much? 36,000 rupees. Let us discuss one more question. S Limited, a registered manufacturer, S Limited, a registered manufacturer of Jaipur, he entered into a contract with the supplier for supply of input X in October. Okay. As per the contract, it was agreed that 10,000 kgs of input X will be supplied for 728, inclusive of CGSTA, the 6% and SGST say 6%. Out of 728 divided by 112 into 12. This is the GST element. 728 divided by 112 into 12. That is 78,000 rupees consisting of CGST and SGST. Okay. 39,000 is the CGST element. 39,000 is the SGST element. Okay. The invoice of 728 has been received in first lot. Now we have received the first lot on and we have received the invoice. Okay. Briefly explain whether S Limited will be eligible to take the credit on proportionate basis. Bolo, no credit will be available on proportionate basis. Credit will be available only when the last lot or installment is received. So in this case, our fourth lot has been received on 1st of December. So on 1st of December 20XX, we will be entitled to take entire credit of 39,000 CGST and 39,000 what? SGST. So this way we will be entitled to take the entire credit here.